The Orioles fired their manager, Brandon Hyde. Now, he was a guy that was there for the lean years. He's now cut loose. It seems unfair. I want to just point a few things out. Joe, take a look at this. The pitching is bad, and they're hitting, though. There's so many guys who are underperforming, and the base running metrics, I mean, they've gone from 3rd in the league to 16th in the league to 29th in the league. So, like, isn't some of that on the manager? The on-field execution, unless you've revamped your club and you've got all hitters sluggers standing out there, which they don't, how much of that is on the manager?
Well, it could be on the staff in general. I'm not going to deny that. When it comes down, you want to talk base running? Absolutely. When you talk about hitting, not necessarily so. And when you talk about pitching, not necessarily so. But base running is more, it's a function of hustle and keeping your mind in advance of the situation. That's what base running is. It's just that you care enough about it to do it right. But the other part of it, guys go into slumps. Pitchers throw the ball to the wrong part of the plate. I don't blame that on coaches. I would bet all these players to the man would take the accountability for the fact that they haven't been hitting well or been pitching well. The base running, you got to stay on top of that. Whoever's in charge of the base running, when there's a mistake, that has to be discussed with the player immediately. The part I don't like about this is the redirect with the blame. I mean, all of a sudden, GM says he accepts the blame, but then he has to go ahead and make a change just for the sake of change. I don't agree with that. I use my example as Brian Cashman a couple years ago with the Yankees, where the Yankees were not good. 1 or 2 games over, whatever it was, 2 games over 500. Cash did not overreact. He did some like micro surgery. He didn't do major surgery. So this is a situation to me where you got to get together, because when it comes to a major league operation today, it's not all on the manager by any means. Front office, analytical department, these are the people that are really culpable for a lot of the stuff that's going on the field. Bad decision making. That kind of, look at the negative word that they accumulated with the guys that they acquired over the last season. So all this stuff, get together, let's talk about it, and let's come out with a different conclusion here.
I like that. It's not surgery, but a procedure. Where you go home that day.
Arthroscopic. It doesn't have to be major.
You'd be home later in the day. Have someone drive it. Make sure you have someone driving for you.
That's right.
So Shohei Ohtani now throwing against hitters, getting ready. You've managed a rehabbing Shohei Ohtani. What are your thoughts on him coming back? Again, he's exploded as an offensive player, but how do you utilize him? How do you think they work him back in?
Backwards. Everything's got to be working backwards. I would go to the last game of the World Series, whatever that date's going to be, and work it backwards. The Dodgers are playing with house money. They won it last year. Of course, they want to win it again this year. But I think a conservative approach to him is the most important thing here, because they know they're going to have him next year after that. So work backwards. And I'm saying about 100 innings backwards. I'm saying 5 innings a start backwards max. I'm saying 80 to 100 pitch, 8,500 pitches every start max, working backwards. And that's when you pop them. You don't pop them before that, because like you just suggested, a big part of his allure, his value is his offensive side. You don't want to have another bummed out arm and all of a sudden you lose the bat too. So for me, it's a backward situation. Whatever everybody's talking about when they expect him back, that's not true. If you want to really do it, work backwards inning wise and understand it's going to be a 6-man. He's going to be every 6 days, sometimes 7, based on off days too. So work it backward. That's when he's going to pitch. And if in fact they don't get to that last game of the year, that's okay, because they did not burn him out. And he has to pitch, I would imagine, around 100 innings to feel comfortable going into next year.
So what are you saying, like All-Star game? Is that about what you're saying, or just before All-Star game, July?
I would say All-Star game-ish, maybe right after it. I mean, listen, if they're wrong, if they don't get to the World Series or the last game and win it, that's fine. But they need him next year and the year after that, too. So, but you have to stretch him out this year to be comfortable with him next year. So this little tightrope that's going on right now.
Right. And it's the golden goose. Don't throw him in the oven. You need the eggs. He's the golden goose.
For many years, brother, for many years.
Yes. All right, one last thing. I want to take a look at this video. Mark Kotsay of the A's, he was ejected on Sunday. Remember, they don't have clubhouses attached to the dugout in West Sacramento. So he had to walk the outfield to go. It kind of felt Bush League. He had to walk from the outfield after he gets tossed out and walk along in front of the fans. How would you have handled that?
How did Leo DeRocher handle that when he got kicked out at the Polo
Joe,
Grounds?
that's exactly what I was wondering. You had to walk through center field.
Right. I mean, and how about when you managed the Salem Angels in Chemeketa Field in Salem, Oregon in the early 80s, when you had to walk through the fans to get to your clubhouse?
Oh, that's right.
It's that when it's at home, it's the walk of fame. When you're on the road, it could be the walk of shame. No question.
That'd be so. In the minors, you had to do that. So you could be signing autographs to the fans. You might as well get something done while you're out there, right?
Yeah. Actually, by the time you got done arguing and realized all the stupid things you said, you're probably laughing to yourself on the way out.
That's pretty good. I exactly thought that because in the old Polo Grounds, to explain to people, the clubhouses were in dead center field. You remember, you see the Giants and the Dodgers after the shot heard around the world. You got to walk through center field. Oh, right. DeRocher was probably still throwing things and cursing at people
on the way out.
As he went out.
Right, even farther than when Willie Mays went to catch that ball against Vic Woods. Even farther than that.
Right. Great stuff, Joe. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Well, guys.
Poll question for hour 2 is going to be what, Seton O'Connor?
We got a couple of options here. Paul is very optimistic on Shohei Ohtani. He wants to know how many MVPs he ends his career with. 4, 5, 6, 7 plus.
Who has the most MVPs in baseball history?
Barry Bonds has 7.
7?
Nobody else has more than 3. There's like 7 guys in history that have 3. But if you could, Barry got 3 before the Giants and 4 with. So it's a dubious 7, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
So here's the point.
Asterisk.
I was thinking about Ohtani. How does he not win the MVP over the next few years? If you combine 50-plus home runs with a 300 average, that'll probably get it for you. And then you add in maybe a dozen starts or helping his team, and a great team that's always in the playoff picture. It's almost like betting against him winning the MVP would be a bad bet in the near future.
Yeah, I think he's got a built-in advantage if he does pitch. I mean, he's already going to put up offensive numbers. He just hit his 20th home run. He's homered in 3 consecutive games. We're not surprised anymore with that. I think coming back to pitch, and if he's going to be successful, how much do you use him? But what's Ohtani have, 3 MVPs now?
Yes, he has 3 in the past 4 seasons, and he finished runner-up once.
Okay.
Does he ever? He probably won't ever get the treatment that Giannis would get, or even Michael Jordan, because no one else does what he does.
Well, who would you compare him to? With those other players, like basketball players are putting up crazy stats now. And, everybody gets 20 points, it feels like. In baseball, not everybody is doing what Ohtani does. Now, guys hit a lot of home runs, but he's still hitting for average. He's helped out by being in the National League because Aaron Judge, the season that he's having in the American League. So there's only one MVP. They don't do one for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and that's what baseball does. But I would be surprised if Ohtani doesn't end up with at least 5 MVPs. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I was saying the same because if you look at it, there's a couple guys who pop up every year in the NL, but at the end of the day, when you get to the vote, you're going to have to create a reason to not vote for Ohtani.
Yeah.
It's like the best story or some guy who comes out of nowhere. But
he can pitch, and if he's able to pitch, and I understand that he wants to pitch, and the Dodgers, love that novelty as well. I just wouldn't want to run the risk of another arm surgery. Then it takes the bat out of the lineup. Yes, Eden.
But is there something to like sort of the other side of that argument where he would have to be a great pitcher and a great hitter? Like he has to be sort of great in both respects. I'm not saying that he's not necessarily, but that's a high bar to keep up every year.
I would say he just has to be a good pitcher and a great hitter. Because I don't know if he's going to pitch enough to be a great pitcher. I think he can be a guy who maybe wins like 12 games. But I don't know how much you want to use him. Is a 5-man rotation? Is he a 6-man rotation? I don't. And plus, pitchers now are pitching 5 innings. So that's a little bit different with the wear and tear on him. But he's had a couple of, quote, procedures. That would make me nervous. Yeah, Paulie.
Ohtani's last 3 years as a starting pitcher, and he only started about 25 games a year. He was 9-2, 15-9, 10-5. He was like a B+. His stats were very good. His ERA was very good, but he didn't have enough starts to get to 20 wins, but it helped him get the MVP.
If he gets between 10 and 15 wins, and he's Ohtani at the plate, I don't know how anybody can come close to him as far as the MVP.
Left side, go! Play it and play it. This is the play of the day.
Check this out.
First pitch is swung out and hammered deep to right field. It is gone. A home run for Ohtani. Well, before you even had a chance to buckle your seatbelt, Ohtani makes it 1-0 with his major league leading 19th home run. The very first pitch of the game.
That's courtesy of AM 570 LA Sports Dodgers Radio Network. That's your play of the day. 19 home runs for Shohei Ohtani. Boy, how defeating is that for a pitcher? You spend all this time, hours preparing, day of, stretching, throwing, going to the bullpen, talking over, strategy there. What are you going to pitch? How are you going to pitch this guy? And then, okay, what are you going to do with Ohtani? I'm going to throw one right down the middle and see. He'll be surprised first pitch of the game. And you could tell off the bat, the sound. Oh, man. And that's what pitchers know, too. Pitchers know the sound. They don't need to turn around sometimes. That's your play of the day, brought to you by Maaco. Most cars on the road could use a little TLC. And Maaco, they bring your car back to life. Affordable paint jobs, light collision repairs. Get a free estimate today. Better get Maaco.